All right, we are off to our next section of our notes. We are working still on fantasy. And this time we're talking about fantasy and the fact that there's certain things that happen in fantasy stories that really just cannot happen in the real world. And it makes the whole story untrue. So fantasy cannot happen in the real world. And I'm going to be making a chart for this one today too, so just a heads up. It's going to be 3 wide and 3 long, and the top row is going to be super skinny. So just a heads up. And draw a nice big section right here. Follow my red line back down over here. All right, we're going to have the title of our story. Then I'm going to split these last 2 in half. And right here I'm going to write down, could it happen? And what I mean by that is, could it happen in the real world? Not in the fantasy world, but in the real world. And why or why not? Okay. Ugh, these lines are driving me crazy. All right, there we go. A little bit better. So we're first going to be talking back again about that same story we talked about yesterday or last lesson with our Westlandia. So that is our first story that we're talking about, Westlandia. Kind of liked Westlandia. I wish I could have a country all of my own too. All right, Westlandia. Could Westlandia actually happen? Could the whole story of Westlandia occur? And I'm going to say no, because magic seeds cannot fly in and grow as tall as trees in 4 weeks. It was a great story. I loved how he had all of the different parts that he came up with for the different culture and the counting system and the alphabet and the staple crop, and I think that was fantastic. And there are different parts and different cultures that have all of those things. However, we don't have a culture, an entire culture or entire group of people that pop up because magic seeds flew in and grew as tall as trees in 4 weeks. All right, the other story we've been talking about is the Lorax. It's a great story. Could the Lorax actually happen in today's world, in this real world setting? Could you go outside and meet the Lorax? The answer to that one is no, unfortunately. Mostly because the Lorax is not a real animal. It is a made-up animal. It is a fake animal. It is a fantastic creature set in a place that could be real. Now, we don't have truffula trees, but we definitely have forests. Not of truffula trees, but of other trees. We have ponds. We have meadows. We have cities that grow up with factories in them. So those parts are all real. Those parts could happen. However, because the Lorax is not a real animal, that makes this not true. Same part or same concept, the fish cannot get out of the pond and walk away. If fish in our world crawled up to the edge of the pond and started walking away, they would not survive because they have to remain in water in order to live. Okay, so short, sweet, Still to the point, next section, so be ready to discuss this with your teacher in your next class and finding some examples of whether or not it is fantasy and can happen in the real world in some examples that we have in our classroom.